And there was a piece on the news about the warriors coming back that had been seriously injured in combat. And somebody said, we're pretty fortunate. We've all been to war at least a couple of times, and we got through it okay, and we're doing all right, and we can come here and enjoy what we do. And then somebody said, it's too bad that those guys can't do it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jack and Terry Show. Our special guest today is Terry Tucker. He is with Afield Legacy Foundation. That's what he's on here today to talk to us about. He is a retired general officer in the United States Army, former commanding general at Fort Knox, Kentucky. Sir, thanks for coming on.
Well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate you and Jack allowing me to come and be with you today.
It's our pleasure. And of course, I'm with my co-host, Jack Konecki. Jack is the granddaddy of all small businesses in Radcliffe. Jack, it's good to see you.
Good to see you, Terry. Good to see you, Terry. Oh, I've got a pair of Terrys.
Jack, I ran into Terry Tucker the other day at a KRDA meeting with Jim Iacocca, and he took the stage there and he talked about a program that he's involved in, focused on helping veterans of a couple of wars that we've had recently that have complex medical situations. And it was fascinating to hear the effort that they've put into this and the program and how this program works. General Tucker, let me ask you this starting off. What was your inspiration for getting involved in this program?
Well, about 12 years ago, me and 4 or 5 of my oldest Army buddies were in a Orvis hunting facility in Utah. We were quail and pheasant hunting. And, at that time, we had a lot of young warriors coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan with serious injuries.
Yeah.
And that evening after we had hunted one day, and that evening after dinner, we were sitting around in the lounge and watching the news. And there was a piece on the news about the warriors coming back that had been seriously injured in combat. And somebody said, we're pretty fortunate. We've all been to war at least a couple of times, and we got through it okay, and we're doing all right, and we can come here and enjoy what we do. And then somebody said, it's too bad that those guys can't do it. And then somebody said, well, why can't they do it, I wonder? And then the next thing you know, we're sitting there talking about what do we need to do as the Vietnam era generation, Vietnam and Desert Storm generation, for this young generation of wounded warriors coming out of Iraq and Afghanistan post 9/11. And so that's where it started. The next year, we decided next year we were all going to bring a young wounded warrior to an event, and we did. And then the next year we decided if we were going to be serious about that, we probably ought to get organized. And so that was the inspiration, and that's how it started.
So specifically, the mission is to identify those folks that would benefit emotionally from being involved in your program. And then you take them on these trips. How do you identify these people in order to get them involved?
Through various ways. We deal with local VA through their counseling services, clinical services. We deal with veteran organizations such as the VFW, American Legion, et cetera. But we also deal with members of the community who just happen to know a veteran who's in need. So there's no one conduit that we have. There's 4 or 5, and we're always open to any young wounded warrior from post 9/11. So one of the things I'm going to ask for at the end is nominees.
Absolutely. Yeah, that makes sense. What kind of responses are you getting whenever you reach out to these veterans? Like you said in the presentation, they have complex injuries, no doubt emotional trauma that goes along with that. So you're dealing with folks with those types of injuries.
The typical veteran that we deal with has serious wounds, injuries, has been on medication and hospitalized for an extended period of time, is 100% or nearly 100% disabled through the VA system, is estranged from his family, and is unemployed.
Wow.
Wow.
Now, part of that unemployment is due to our VA system. You know, 100% disabled veteran is precluded from basically working in order to maintain his VA disability.
Mm,
So what we deal with more often than not is an individual who doesn't work, doesn't have much of a social life, doesn't have much of a family life, sits at home a lot, and maybe even self-medicates too much.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of where we start.
Describe some of those trips that you've taken these folks on.
Now, first, let me tell you, this is not about hunting and fishing and trail riding and hiking.
Mhm.
This is about developing long-term relationships with our young generation of combat wounded veterans who are in need of help, coaching, mentoring, peer counseling, as an example. The conduit we use for that is outdoor activities.
Gotcha.
We hunt,
Yeah.
we fish, we trail ride, we do some hiking, and we go to first-class, world-class facilities to do that. 3 years ago, I decided that, you know, we need an event here in the Midwest and in our region for our wounded combat veterans. So 2 years ago, we went to a place called Winghaven Lodge in Providence, Kentucky, at the invitation of the owner, and did a pheasant and quail hunt and fishing. This year, we went back for a second trip there, and he's invited us to come back in October for a third. So this has become an annual event. And for this event in Western Kentucky, I focus on getting young combat veterans from our area, Elizabethtown, Radcliffe, Wrightyville, Louisville. I've taken from Mount Sterling, from Paducah, as well as Arkansas, Tennessee, Indiana. So I'm focused on our region with state of Kentucky first, but then expanded throughout the region. And so in October, I will take 7 or 8 deserving combat veterans down to Western Kentucky to an Orvis hunting facility, where we will then bring in senior mentors one-on-one. So one young combat veteran with one old Vietnam vet, guy like me and my buddies. And we'll spend 4 days together, one-on-one, coaching, mentoring, counseling. And the conversations go like something like this. So what meds are you on? Why are you on those meds? How long you been on those meds? Are you employed? Why aren't you employed? How's your family life? What is your major social event for the week? And that's all just to develop a relationship with these guys, so we get to know them. And you know what we have found, Terry and Jack, is that because they don't socialize, they've lost some socialization skills.
Right.
And quite frankly, you know, when we have a guy who, let's say, is a double leg amputee, part of an arm missing, major burns on his face and body. And you ask the simple question, well, why aren't you getting out and socializing? The typical answer we get is because I don't want people looking at me and little kids running and crying to their mother.
Right.
And so that's some of the first thing we have to get beyond with these guys. And you can't do that until you develop a relationship. And so I always come back to, this is about developing a long-term lasting relationship with these guys. And hunting and fishing is just a way to break the
Get it
ice.
done. Right. I hope more people find out about this. And having said that, I just want to give you the last word and say whatever you want to about the program or anything you want folks to know about.
Let me just end, Terry, with two things. One, there are lots of organizations that do similar things than we do. We think we're different in the following. One, one of our non-negotiables was we weren't going to have any paid employees. Everything we do is volunteer. Secondly, the senior mentors pay our own way. So when I go to Utah or Wyoming or Montana or Texas, I buy my own airplane ticket, get my own rental car, drive there at my expense, not at the organization's expense. So 100% of every dollar that we raise goes to supporting the young warriors. And we're one-on-one for 3-4 days at a time, and then long-term relationships. That's the first thing I would like to tell you. And then I guess the last thing I would say is I would ask people to do 3 things. One, visit our website, check us out, and just see what we're about. Secondly, nominate a deserving, a needing post 9/11 combat veteran who needs some help mentoring peer relationships to me, to the organization, so that we can contact and engage them. And the third thing I would ask is, if someone wants to make a donation, we certainly appreciate donations to our organization. We have some great national sponsors that help us out, but I would like to build a local constituents of supporters for our local Kentucky event, if I could. So that's the 3 things I would leave you with. But and then last is just thank these young veterans for what they do. It's 20 years at war in Iraq and Afghanistan has had a significant drain, not just on the nation and our army, but this generation of warriors. And I just don't think we can appreciate or tell them thanks about.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Well, General Tucker, thanks for coming on. It's a pleasure to see you. And also thanks for all your hard work. Folks, that was Terry Tucker. He is with Warriors Afield Legacy Foundation. He's also a retired general officer in the U.S. Army and former commanding general at Fort Knox, working on a fascinating program to assist combat wounded veterans from the most recent 2 wars. And he's doing a phenomenal job, has a very unique approach to that. It's fascinating. If you're interested in more information about that, please visit the website, which will be in the heading. Thanks again, sir.
Thanks a lot. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Our pleasure. Jack, it was good seeing you, and we'll see you again in a couple of days.
Good to see you, Terry, and good to have you with us, General.
Thank you, sir.